What's happening, guys? Venomousfatman here, and I got a brand new OTGT for you. This time I'm talking about this game right here, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. I'll show you guys up front, the cover and everything. There you go. Here's a little bit of the back. I got a couple like papers stuck in here, so gotta excuse me. But here's the back, yo. There you go. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. I got it for the Xbox 360. All right, so what do I think about this game? I think this game is awesome, hands down. The reason why I say that is because obviously I've played many of the Spider-Man games that have been released in the past. The original Spider-Man that was both for the PlayStation and the N64, Spider-Man, the actual movie game, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and Spider-Man Web Shadows, and Spider-Man Web Friend or Foe. The list goes on and on and on and on. But I digress. Why do I think this game is so good in its own right? It's because it actually attempts to change up most of the common conceptions of what we thought would make a Spider-Man game. Up until this point, or at least I should say up till about, I believe, either Web of Shadows or Friend or Foe, a lot of the Spider-Man games were kind of these open world games where you were Spider-Man running around doing different missions and stuff, for different people in order to gain enough hero points in order to take on big story missions against like a lot of the big rogues gallery that Spider-Man has. And, a lot of people were kind of mixed on that. So a lot of people liked it. There were some people, that didn't like it so much. They liked more the actual linearity of the original Amazing Spider-Man game that was based on the comics, from the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64. Now, this game has a little bit of that, dealing with the whole for Spider-Man story and stuff, because they got a lot of the comic book elements and stuff, because they take it from different time frames where you have the original Spider-Man, you have Spider-Man 2099, you have Noir Spider-Man, and then you have Ultimate Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe. So if you're a comic guru, you're going to be like, wow, this is pretty dope. They got a lot of good stuff in here that I know about. But the gameplay, I'm going back to the gameplay here. The gameplay is kind of a little bit linear, as far as like how it was in the original Spider-Man game. But what makes that so good and what makes it work is that it kind of, if you guys have ever seen DSP's playthrough, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have, where he actually plays through the game. He kind of compares it to Mega Man, where you take on these different levels, that they list in front of you, a number of levels that you have to complete before you move on to the next batch, and you could do it in almost any order that you want or any specific type of way that you want while you're playing through those levels. And I think that's pretty cool because it is kind of reminiscent of Mega Man, and I think that's awesome. And it wasn't really a conscious thing I was thinking about while playing this, but that's the same type of feeling that I got, or that I get whenever I play any type of like original Mega Man game, especially like some of the older ones like X, Mega Man 1, 2, 3, all the way up to Mega Man 9. But anyway, getting back to Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, it's awesome. Okay, the characters are great. Some of my favorites, honestly, I love Spider-Man 2099, and I love Ultimate Spider-Man because he's got the Venom outfit. And it's pretty cool when you actually have to fight Carnage in the actual Ultimate Universe, because they base it mostly loosely on how the Ultimate Universe had it, where Carnage isn't really another like spawn of the symbiote. He's kind of like, a kind of a clone of Peter Parker, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a different twist on things. The other Spider-Man are pretty good. The weakest, but still good, I have to say, is the Noir Spider-Man, because it's kind of stealth gameplay. And really, personally, when I think of Spider-Man, I really don't really think all too stealthy. In that matter, I think more like in-your-face action. There's guys coming at you. You have to dodge them and beat the crap out of them and all that other jazz. But that's just me. Anybody else might feel a little bit differently, but it's still good nonetheless. And it's constantly, the great thing about this game is constantly changing up the flavor all the time. Like, you're not just constantly doing the same thing throughout. You're not staying as one Spider-Man throughout the entire game. You're flip-flopping through all of them, especially in the tutorial level, the very first level. You start off as Amazing Spider-Man, then during the course of the tutorial, while you're learning different stuff, you're jumping between the 4 different Spider-Men. And that, I think, is pretty good because it's kind of cool. It's something fresh each time, like every couple of minutes. Now, there are levels where you stick as one Spider-Man throughout, but it's not like a series of like 5 or 6 different levels consecutively. Each level has its own specific storyline or specific scenario that leads up into the overall big storyline between the 4 Spider-Man, which is pretty cool. Now, anyway, I think right now this is probably one of the best Spider-Man games to date. They really took at least a big leap on this, as far as changing up the traditional formula of what we all know, or have been exposed to for quite some time. But I think it's pretty successful. I haven't seen a what is it, a PlayStation 3 version of this. I'm pretty sure there is one. I don't, I could be wrong, whatnot, but I did play it on this system and I had an enjoyable experience. There's a lot of different extras, especially if you got, I believe, you pre-ordered it or you got a collector's edition of this. There's some codes to unlock other costumes. I think it's the Captain Universe costume. If you're familiar with the comics, you'll know exactly what Captain Universe is. But it's pretty good. I loved it. I had a great time. You guys should definitely check it out whenever you get the chance. That's just my review, guys. Leave your comments and video responses. I don't mind. Just keep it civil. Let me know what you guys think of this game. If you enjoyed it or hate it, put it on there on the comment section. Just try not to get too crazy stuff. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Venomous is out, and that was only the goddamn truth, people. Enjoy your day. Talk to y'all later.